We're going to start the meeting, but we're starting with two public hearings. An ABC hearing on the Hidden Chapter Bookstore. Joe, you want to take over for that?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will open up this ABC hearing at whatever my iPhone says, 7 o'clock even. Application has been received from the Hidden Chapter Bookstore LLC, doing business at the Hidden Chapter Bookstore, 118 North Fort Thomas Avenue, Fort Thomas, Kentucky 41105, for a quota retail drink, NQ4 retail malt beverage drink, and special Sunday sales drink license. This application's been on file in my office for quite some time now, and I have yet to receive any public comment or complaint on this. So is there any public comment or complaint from the Peanut Gallery? Okay, excellent. With no comment or complaint, I will close this hearing at 7:01 p.m.
And start another one.
And I will open the next ABC hearing at 7:01 p.m. a little later. Application has been received from Quarter North Hospitality LLC, doing business as The Green Line at 25 North Fort Thomas Avenue, Fort Thomas, Kentucky 41075, for an NQ2 retail drink license and special Sunday sales retail license. This application has been on file in my office for, probably 5-6 weeks now. There's been no public comment or complaint on this one as well. Is there any public comment or complaint from the gallery?
Hey, Joe, I have a question for you. You know, I think I've asked you this before, but I think sometimes maybe to update people and explain to exactly why we're doing this process and how it works. You know, I mean, we do have some new council members. We haven't gotten too many. Maybe actually we've gotten too many of these. They're a little saturated right now, I believe. But can you explain to them how this works and why we do this?
Well, simply put, every municipality has a slightly different liquor license ordinance. I've done this in the city of Newport and the city of Fort Thomas. The city of Fort Thomas's ordinance requires that liquor license applications be held over for 2 council meetings. So traditionally I notify the council the first meeting, then we have the public hearing the second meeting. This is just due to the local ABC ordinance. We have a local ABC ordinance here in Fort Thomas that allows us to have some regulatory powers over liquor licensing here in town. So as a result, I have to have a public hearing and elicit public comment from really anybody who would like to make comment. I can tell you, in probably 17 years of doing this between 2 cities, I think I've received 2 comments total. But naturally, follow the ordinance, make sure there are no issues with anything, and then we go ahead and approve everything down at the state level. No problem, no problem. Comments, questions? All right, excellent. Then I will close this public hearing at 7:03 p.m. Thank you very much.
And I will call the regular meeting to order. Melissa, can you call the roll, please?
Mrs. McIntosh? Here. Mr. Hendricks? Here. Mr. Ellison? Here. Mr. Beasley?
Here.
Mr. Blau?
Here.
Mr. Strange?
Here. We rise to the pledge of flag, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, and just anybody who knows Tim Snyder, our attorney, he looks a little different tonight. I think he got a haircut. Maybe that's what it was. No, Joe Grimmy is filling in for Tim, as Tim is on vacation. So, Joe, appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Okay, we already did the roll call. The minutes, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the October 16th meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Visitors and communications. The first thing on visitors and communications is I have a fun thing to do. I have a little gift for Susan Stewart. Susan, if you could please come up here. Thank you. Susan. Okay, Susan has been part of this community as a volunteer, a business owner, and a friend of the city and the community, helping out with various functions for years. You know, she has had 2 wonderful businesses in the city. She, Colonel D Gourmet Herbs and Spices in 2016, that's when that opened up. And then you opened up the Colonel D Kitchen and Catering in 2017. And then she joined the Renaissance Board in 2021, and She was a big help on that. She was very helpful with assisting with the Flea in the Fort, Independence Day, Farmers Market, Holiday Walk, you name it, Merchants of Music, Veterans Day. She's always offered a hand, always been very gracious to do anything in the city. And it's volunteers like this, that's what makes Fort Thomas so great. And she's moving. I can't believe it. Why she would want to leave such a wonderful city like Fort Thomas, but she is headed down to Texas. And I think she might be taking some spices with her, maybe start up some little extra business down there. So Susan, we have this little plaque for you, and it says, Susan Stewart, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. City of Fort Thomas Renaissance Board 2022-2023. So thank you.
Well, who knows, I might come back and occasionally just sort of jump in and volunteer on something.
That would be great. You're welcome.
Thank you all very much.
I'd like to follow up with that real quick. I hope you know how much we appreciate you and your husband and Colonel D and what you guys have done for our community and just the greater Cincinnati area in general. You guys are legacies here, and it will live on forever for what you have done. I just want you to know how much we appreciate it.
Thank you very
Sure.
much.
And Chanda, would you mind giving some updates on some of the city events that are coming up?
I
Wanna
would
do that
love
first?
to do that because there's always so much happening. We just finished with Veterans Day. I hope you all have your jogging shoes and you're ready to run the Turkey Trot, which is at 7:30 a.m. On the 23rd, we have Small Business Saturday, and I see some of our businesses that are here to join us that'll be participating in that. So shop local. I won't tell you not to go to like big chains like Walmart and Target, but don't because you can't find the things that they have in their stores, and they're our community, and we want to love and support them as much as we possibly can. That evening, after you shop till you drop, you can go out and do the pub crawl, which is from 6 to 10 in the Midway District. And then moving on December 3rd, we have our holiday walk, which will kick off with Tour de Tencel, the bike ride, which will be led by our Fort Thomas Fire and Santa and Mrs. Claus. And we'll head down to Inverness before walking back up, and there's plenty of businesses that will be participating. Some hot cocoa, some teas, some cinnamon pretzel buns, I believe. One of the churches passing out along with pictures with Santa, some music. It'll be a great event for all, and that is from 4 until 7 when we light our last tree. We're lighting 2 trees this year. Go big or go home. So anyway, I hope you all can join us, and then finally decorating for Christmas the holiday house decorating, which is on the 22nd. We hope that you all participate in that. So lots going on. Please join us. Lots of fun in the community.
There's another event coming up. Actually, it's tomorrow night. Do we have any Star Trek fans here tonight?
Oh, you!
Any Star Trek fans? Tomorrow night at the Post, I'm doing Star Trek trivia at the Post. So be there at 6 o'clock. I've got all kinds of great questions. Some things that you will not know the answer to, or if you do, I'll be really impressed. You'll be more of a Star Trekkie than me, that's for sure. Awesome. Okay, we'll move down our list for the public comment. First on the list, Joe Cruzy.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I'm checking on I'm doing everything by the book here. So I'm trying to get a sign. I live on River Road, 43 River Road in Garrison. And I'm trying to get a sign, no parking to here to corner. I've been there 25 years, and over the years, there has been markings, but they did a lot of construction on that side of the road years ago, and they put new curbs in, and they never did put no yellow curbings back. The yellow curbings in that area, to me, is an eyesore. I mean, you know, the length of it would be, and I would suggest maybe if you put a sign, just like towards the bottom. I got a picture. Just kind of like put a sign instead of put markings, the yellow markings. I mean, it's kind of an eyesore.
you talking the area that you painted yellow earlier in the month?
I touched
Couple
it
months
up,
ago.
yeah, I touched it up,
Yeah,
and
we're not-
that was wrong, so
We can talk about that. But we've already looked at that area and the neighbors were complaining that there was no parking, because there's very little parking on your street, so.
so there's
We
no,
can
there's
look
no,
at-
it's kind of like out of the way, I mean, if you.
I'm exactly know exactly what you're talking about. We talked about it a couple months ago. We talked about it with your neighbors. But we can discuss it further, but there's no safety issues with being able to park there and with the limited parking on that street.
Well, it's all the way up top to where it's hard to get out, and you can park there, emergency vehicles. Recently, a fire truck couldn't get down, you had to park up top. I mean, I'm
We can
just,
talk about it.
okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, Elizabeth Allegrini,
I'm gonna defer until the end, please.
Hillary Landwehr,
I'm going to defer until the end, please.
Peggy Maggio,
I get so nervous when I get up here, I'm afraid I'm gonna have a heart attack, just so y'all know that. I know I'm among friends, so. I'm here tonight to discuss the comprehensive plan review and update that's due by December of 2023. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in December of 2018, and as we've discussed before, KRS 197 requires that at least every 5 years, the Planning Commission shall amend or readopt the plan elements. The elements of the comprehensive plan shall be reviewed by the Planning Commission and amended if necessary. That section of the KRS 100 also says it shall not be necessary to conduct a comprehensive review of the research done at the time of the original adoption when the Commission finds that the original research is still valid. There was some discussion the other night at Planning Commission regarding the comprehensive plan, and I became quite concerned when I heard that one PC member allegedly suggested that the current plan be readopted right there and then. I believe that in the spirit of KRS 100, if not in the plain language itself, someone in the city needs to at least read the comprehensive plan every 5 years. The plain language states that it needs to be reviewed every 5 years, and that only the research portion, if that's found invalid, that's when you don't need to do a comprehensive review. I believe that the research that was done at the time of 2018, some of it's outdated and some of it contravened what ended up in the comprehensive plan. As you know, the comprehensive plan is a 225-page document. Every single person I've talked to, without exception, didn't even know that a comprehensive plan existed. When I went to the first Planning Commission meeting in October of 2021, Elisa Duffy Rogers was up in the front. People asked her where she got the ideas that were going up on the screen, and she said this was all in the comprehensive plan. I, nor anybody else in the peanut gallery, as Joe refers to us, knew there was a comprehensive plan at the time. This summer, Matt asked me to come in and take a look and have a discussion regarding the comprehensive plan revision that's due this year. To that end, I prepared a 17-page document with notes and suggested revisions for section 1, which is the overview section of the comprehensive plan, then sections 2.1 and 2.6, which are the land use development sections and the focus area plans. Those are the only areas that I have reviewed in detail, and those are the only 3 areas I'll be talking tonight. There are some good things in the comprehensive plan. There's actually a lot of good things in the comprehensive plan. Like, for example, on page 7, right at the beginning, in a page all of its own, has the Stephen Covey quote, "Begin with the end in mind." And I think that's so necessary tonight in 2023 as it was in 2018. That when we're looking particularly at this rezoning effort, which is huge, that we begin with the end in mind. Other things that are in the plan that are good are, for example, stay true to our history and who we are as a community, that we have small town family values that have been achieved through the scale of the homes and buildings within the city, that we have a sense of place that is established through the scale of development as well as our history, which is still evident through the structures and the iconic features. Historic preservation has everything to do with scale and setback and height and maintaining the character that we have in the city. That's reflected in our comprehensive plan, and that's great. But there are areas in these 3 sections that directly contravene that portion of the vision for the city. Instead, what's in a lot of portions of the comprehensive plan is a redesign or a revisioning of what our business districts look like. So why is it important that we begin with the end in mind or get the comprehensive plan right? Why can't we just rubber stamp it, as I hear was suggested at the Planning Commission the other night? Well, for starters, as I mentioned, Elisa Duffy Rogers is using the comprehensive plan as the basis for her adjustments to the city code. As many of you already know, it is my opinion that the research conducted at the time of the 2018 revision contraindicates a lot of what ended up in the comprehensive plan. Also going to KRS 100, talking about a comprehensive review being required when the evidence is no longer valid. I bring to your attention that since the comprehensive plan has gone into effect, there is new evidence. Number one. Okay, that's great. Number one, the results of the survey done for the 2018 comprehensive plan just recently became available, and they became available on August 25th, 2023. That was the first time we were able to look at those survey results to see whether or not it, in fact, supported what was in the comprehensive plan, and a lot of things did not. Additional evidence and new evidence in the form of COVID and the devastating effect that the pandemic had on retail businesses has now come into play. And new evidence in the fact that One Highland was built in those intervening years. So now we can both physically see what a building of that magnitude does to the landscape of our central business district, but we also have other evidence. For example, that there's a lack of the demand for this type of housing, even in one of the hottest real estate markets in Cincinnati. I think it's indisputable that Fort Thomas is, if not the entire USA. The units in One Highland are now flying off the shelf. Additional evidence in the form of the fact that One Highland did not attract new businesses to town, as hoped. But to my understanding, all but one business in that complex relocated from other places in the CBD. This was a concern brought to the attention of the Planning Commission in those hearings for One Highland by ordinary citizens, the citizens that go out and actually go into these businesses. And as we found, new businesses were not attracted to One Highland, but other ones just relocated. As for the evidence in the form of the 5-year-old survey, results that I said just became available in August. These results show that citizens do not support many of the goals and strategies promulgated in this plan. I've been told by many at City Hall that I'm passionate about zoning. And believe me, zoning was the last thing on my mind before 2 years ago. But I found in these survey results that I'm not the only one in Fort Thomas that's passionate about historic preservation. On the issue of restoring and preserving the district's historic character, 82% of the survey respondents were in favor of that, with only 7% opposed. In addition, these results, talking about restoring and preserving the district's historic character, indicate many portions of the comp plan. As I mentioned, what is outlined in the comp plan is a redesign or a reimagining of what downtown Fort Thomas and the Midway should look like. The comp plan both allows for and regulates for mixed use or big box buildings with retail on the bottom and 2 or 3 stories of residential on top. One of the folks up here on City Council described this new look and apparently thought it was a good idea, is that of the building on Monmouth Street where Press is located. I don't know how close of attention you all have been paying to some of the stuff that Elise is proposing, but right now on the table, she's proposing that on the east side of the CBD of Fort Thomas Avenue, the buildings can be allowed to be 185 feet long, the size of One Highland. So this is not in keeping with historical scaling and setbacks. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty certain that the building that Press is located in on Monmouth Street will do nothing to restore and preserve the district's historic character, as 82% of the residents would like. Another issue was create more housing in and or adjacent to the district. Only 28% of the respondents were in favor of this. But somehow into the comprehensive plan came, and I quote, encourage new housing development in strategic locations at the edges of the business district to attract empty nesters and young professionals. Another piece of the survey, tear down and redevelop portions of the business district to increase density. We've talked a lot about density here and in the Planning Commission. Only 35% of the respondents were in favor of this. But this is exactly what we did with One Highland. This question anticipated One Highland, and only 35% were in favor of doing that, but the city went full speed ahead. The comp plan, in contravention of this result, has these aspects in it. Quote, increase critical mass of retail/mixed uses in housing. Quote, preserve and enhance traditional Main Street character with primarily 2 to 3 story buildings close to the sidewalk, storefronts with housing and or offices on the upper floor. Quote, revise the zoning to create form-based regulations that require new development to be located near the street with 2 to 3 story buildings and maximum building setbacks. I know we were told that form-based housing was taken off the table. The other night at Design Review Board, Elisa stated that this east side of the CBD is form-based. And that form-based is the 185 feet, 2 to 3 stories on top of residential, on top of commercial.
Peggy, it's been 10 minutes. You've already used, your time. It's been 10 minutes. Can you wrap
Sure.
up like the next
Sure.
30 seconds? We just have a lot of other people.
I see my time to pay.
Okay.
So I'll just finish up quickly on that. I respect what you're saying. Thank you for giving this time so far. One more thing though I do think is important. There was another issue. In your opinion, are there sufficient housing types in Fort Thomas? We've talked about this before. 83% of the respondents thought that there were sufficient housing types in Fort Thomas. Of the 17% that did not think there were sufficient types, 56% thought that additional single-family homes were needed. So less than 0.5, less than 1/2 of 1% of respondents believe that we needed additional housing types, except for new single-family homes. This is what we got in the comprehensive plan. Quote, encourage a variety of housing types in select locations. Quote, that is the quote. So to finish up, so there are, as you can see, there's discrepancies in the ideas that were presented in the survey that people disagreed with that made it into the comprehensive plan. So I think as if you look at the comprehensive plan, you'll see that a lot of the ideas in there are contraindicated by evidence, unsupported by evidence, are outdated, or are based on mere speculation. So I'm here tonight to ask council to adopt a resolution directing a review of at least sections 1, 2.1, and 2.6, either in December of 2023 to meet the requirements of KRS 100 or in early 2024 if it can't be met within December. Realizing that we'll be late, we'll not be fulfilling KRS 100, but at least we'll get it in some time fashion. When I told you I did that 17-page document for Matt, I went back, pulled out the portions of that document that had areas to just delete. And I sent that document to Matt and some of you this week. I think there's 23 specific sections that need to be deleted, either words, paragraphs, or just pages in their entirety. Again, this is out of 225 pages, so it's not a lot. So if, when CT and Human Nature came to City Council in 2021 and talked about what was going on with the comprehensive plan, they specifically stated that before any green zone effort would go into place, that the Land Use and Planning Committee be reconstituted. In the best way we could do this would be to put a Land Use and Planning Committee back together or a working group. But if we can't do that, please take my document, give it to your staff, delete the sections that are problematic, and at least we'll know that we've had a review and a revision. Thank you very much.
I'd like to follow that up real quickly. I'll try not to add too much to it. I went to the planning. I was going to tell everybody about this new business. So this is I'll try to keep it short. By the way, Mayor Haas, your beard looks fantastic. So, but the comprehensive, so I went to the Planning Commission last week because there's only one more session left and they were talking about the comprehensive plan, and I was a little upset that we were just now talking about it at the end of the year and it had to be done, we're supposed to review it by the end of the year and stamp it to go on. And if you look at the adoption plan and elements, 100.197, I highlighted a little part here that says the comprehensive plan elements and their research basis shall be reviewed from time to time in light of social, economic, technical, and physical advancements and changes at least once every 5 years. Well, I don't know about you, but I know in 2008 there was a crash, but nothing moved forward like it did during the problems we had with COVID. I mean, everybody went to work from home status. The children went home. All of a sudden Zoom became a thing. So things have really evolved quickly in those 2 years, unfortunately. I don't think things evolved a little too fast. And she mentioned the survey we did. I just sent it to Matt today so he can send it out. If you guys haven't read the survey, we had a survey done back when they did this, and it's actually a fantastic survey. Several pages long, about 1,000 people answered it. Me and Eric were talking about it. I brought a copy here. And the reason I think the survey is so good, we did it about 6 years ago. So I think I was talking to the Planning Commission about possibly, because it goes to Planning and Zoning, Planning Commission first, then comes here. So I was encouraging them to get, and CT consultants, whether possibly do another one of these surveys so that we can continue to compound data so we know what the citizens like. And 1,000 people answered this survey. It's pretty in-depth. It's 17,000 people in town. How many students did you say? 3,000. Does that include Catholic schools? Yeah, so, and then plus the ones that are young or probably the people that didn't go. So you get about 10,000 adults in the city. So 10% of that's a pretty good turnout for a survey. I think not only does this help us prepare for the future of our city and what it needs for these comprehensive plans, as we collect data over the years, we can really hone in on it. I think it would also be fantastic for our business and our economic development manager or people coming to town to see what we need and what we want, because I think statistics rule. And I think the more information we can give them, not only will, so we don't oversaturate the market. I really think that we have a lot of, on-premise liquor drinking spots right now, probably too many. And we don't oversaturate the market, and they understand what they're getting into before they get here, so we can make the best business decisions, or they can, not only to make sure we support the people that are here and that have invested, but make sure that the new ones that come see what they're up against, so we don't have too many. I'll go a little bit more detail about that a little bit later, but I just think we should let the Planning Commission talk about it next month and see what they come up with. But I just thought it was a nice lead in for me to say that I did go speak with them. I think the stats are where numbers don't lie and what people want. So I just want everybody to know that.
Okay, Joan Ferris.
Joan Ferris, 66 Bernie Lane. I'd like to draw attention to the proposed revisions to Ordinance 007-2023, Section 36.011, specifically paragraph C. If amended, as drafted, the following procedure will be deleted. The Secretary shall prepare the minutes of the board's meetings, which shall be available for public inspection. Deleted. Is that it? No more minutes? Now? Forever? How can this even be considered for even 1 minute? The city attorney has said in the past that no one is required to respond to a question from me, so I'll make it a rhetorical question to which I will not expect an answer. So rhetorically, is there anyone who noticed that eliminating meeting minutes is in this proposed amendment?
Jen, before you go on, can I explain why that was deleted? The only reason that was deleted is because that's not the way it happens. The notes are taken by staff. They have to be taken by KRS. So it's not that we're saying they don't have to have minutes. It's just that that's not accurate anymore. That secretary.
But the revision wasn't to say by staff. The revision.
I have to look at it. I'm pretty sure it does, but regardless, KRS mandates that the minutes have to be taken at any public meeting.
I would think that.
No,
I would think that then.
We wouldn't have the option not to do minutes. The only reason we did take that out.
That's further in my thing here. But as far as this being the reading, and if this is adopted as written, we no longer have minutes.
That is not correct. That's what I just said. By KRS, we have to. The reason it was removed was because that's not accurate anymore procedurally. Is the person that it had listed there is not. That's not who does it. Sherry does our minutes.
I understand what you're saying. It's unfortunate because it was so shocking to me because it said exactly what I stated. I copied and pasted it into what my words say tonight. Let me see if there's something else, since you said that what it says is not what it is. I don't think it can be voted on tonight then, as it is written, because it doesn't refer to any.
I'd have to look at it. I mean, we did this a while ago. I know we're obviously not gonna have it to say no minutes. I mean, but we have to have minutes at the DRB, regardless of what would be in that ordinance.
I clearly absolutely understand what you're saying, Matt. What I'm saying is that by the law is taking out that they have to take minutes.
Okay.
And so in order for this to be voted on tonight, it has to be revised, have a first reading, have a second reading, and
It's not, that wouldn't be a substantive change.
I saw that too when I read through it, and the issue was, it was asking one of the volunteers to act as secretary and take the minutes, and that's not what happens. We use the staff to do that. That is required. It doesn't have to be in the ordinance at all. There will always be minutes taken, and they're normally taken by staff. But years and years ago, when we did it, there was like gonna be a secretary and one of the volunteers who was responsible to take minutes, and that's why we're taking that out, because that's not the case. That it hasn't been that way for a while, and we're just trying to clean up the words to make it be what it is. Does that make sense?
I have such a great understanding of those simple words. Yes, it makes sense. I just think it's so sloppy if you're trying to clean it up.
Well, even our,
Seems to me.
I just looked real quick, even our planning commission ordinance doesn't have that in there. You don't, because it's a.
I only looked
it's
at
a-
this because it was clearly,
We can't put everything in every ordinance that KRS would require you. So no, I mean, it's consistent with the other ones. We don't label who takes it, but we obviously have to by law. Because that might change throughout. You know, the next time it might be the chair, it might be the vice chair. So procedurally that would change, but it would always have to be minutes taken at every public meeting.
okay, I think it would be nice to put that in there since it's clearly, if that was an oversight, that it was
It was not an oversight.
scratched
It
out.
was on purpose. I did that.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Sharon McKnight.
Good evening all, and thank you for your service and having us tonight. I do want to bring up some concerns. First of all, I have a question. You're voting on to approve a design review board ordinance. Is that what you're doing tonight?
Yes, for the revision for the residential.
Okay. I attended a meeting on Thursday night, and I sent all the council members the email about my concerns about the design review board members really understanding what they govern on that board. And I think it would be so helpful if you're going to revise it, if you could do the name change and include historic preservation in the title. I mean, that would just bring so much clarity to everybody in the community and everybody on that board, and I do appreciate you are giving a historic preservationist, but I think if you put that name in the board, like Newport and Bellevue does, what they regulate is very similar, and they're called the Historic Preservation Commission. So it'd be nice if we could just change the name to that, or Historic Preservation Review Board. So people really understand what they're getting into when they're on these boards and coming in front of them.
There is a new paragraph. I understand what you're saying. There's a new paragraph in the beginning, and it specifically says historic preservation. One of the reasons for not doing it, and I was involved with historic preservation down in Newport a lot, it was simply for the historic buildings. The other buildings did not have to go through it. Whereas in Fort Thomas, we wanted it to be all the buildings in the business district.
Yeah, it's the whole
if you say
district, yes.
If you label it historic preservation, then people are gonna think it's only for historic preservation, and a business owner that's in a newer building or something may not think they need to go through it. So that's why we put it in the paragraph rather than the name.
When you put this board together back in 2002, I thought it was strictly just for the CBDs in the Midway and the town center. Is it more now? Are they governing more than that?
It's just CBD.
Okay, so if they,
As it stands right now, it's CBD. Now, we do plan on having that expanding with the new zoning ordinance, but as it stands right now, it's CBD.
Okay, but my concern is too, if you have that in the title, that would help, I think, with the people coming in front of them, because a lot of them don't even realize why they're in front of them. They think maybe I'm just here for a GROW grant or rent subsidy, but they're not really understanding you're here because we're trying to preserve these two local CBD areas. And I think, and I know you're getting a preservationist, historic preservationist on board, and we greatly appreciate that. But I think if the board itself, all three boards that deal with these historic areas could be, you know, trained like now and have a historic preservationist put in place and put on hold anything decision-making on those areas until they're all trained properly. Because they do not know they govern over demolition, site modification, and that was clear from the meeting from Thursday night.
We're working on training, so.
I know that, but they're still going in front of the board. Wouldn't it make more sense to stop that until everyone's properly trained?
So stop all.
The stuff pertaining to the historic.
I don't think we should stop everything, but by next month or at January at the latest, when right now we're getting cost estimates for the training. And that's gonna be happening either next month or the month after.
But if the board members clearly don't know what they're governing, wouldn't that help for them to know that now? I mean, that's how that meeting went Thursday night, Matt. They're not aware of this. And I'm just trying to tell you that. And I think the training now would be very much helpful. So that's why I'm coming in front of you, and that's why I'm giving you this information. So that meeting, and it seems like you want the people making the decisions thoroughly trained on what they're deciding on in these historic areas if we want it to be properly preserved. Okay.
I'd like to believe Matt is, working on this and trying to get it done. This is a really cool part of the survey here, though, just so you know. I mean, 6 years ago, before all these changes and stuff decided to take place, and so I think this is a very unbiased survey. Well over 50% of the people that answered this said they wanted to restore and preserve the district's character. So it's very telling, but I do believe you, Matt, that you're trying to get there as soon as possible.
Oh, and I do too, but I think this decision could be put on hold if you watched the video, and I hope you guys did. That's why I sent it to you guys, because it was really quite telling what they thought their purpose, what their role is on that board. So I really think if you could consider that, that would help a lot. So thank you, you guys.
Thank you. All right, Dan Gorman.
Sorry. Hello. I wanted to get up and say a few words for the last few months. I just been wanting to say some things, but in this council culture that we're living in, I feel like sometimes there's not a lot of grace given if you say things that people don't agree with, and so I'm just asking for some grace. Because of the relatively small number of people in small towns, often those that are the most passionate about the town end up taking on multiple duties. They open businesses, they volunteer in various capacities, they talk others into moving there, into the town. Sometimes they do more than one thing. And I kind of think of a small town as a family. A healthy family circles up and protects each other. You put yourself on the line for your family and you protect members that are more vulnerable than you are. And when a family functions like this and then they're in sync, it creates a sense of pride and belonging, and amazing things can happen. So when dissension creeps in, which is inevitable, a healthy family talks it over. They find some type of middle ground and they move forward. The health of the family is paramount, and slotting that above the individual, and everyone has each other's back. So if you take this healthy family, and one that's strong for generations until this inevitable tough situation occurs, instead of talking it out like we have for years, people start talking behind the backs of the ones they don't agree with. We become enemies if we don't agree with each other. You see, got ways to punish people because their opinions are different from their own, and everyone sees it happening, but it's a slow train that's moving and nobody does anything to stop it. And so I think the best case scenario when you have something like that is, this family does not flourish, and maybe they even move backwards until they figure out a way to work it all out and begin to work together again, and then start moving forward, but they're stuck until they do that and progress stops. And so what's the worst case scenario? They stop functioning. The ones that were putting in the extra effort give up and disappear. The only members that are left are like-minded people. And the family looks a lot different. And so feeling like I belong to this family for the last 25 years has been the thing that I've loved most about living here. Living and being involved here, but I'm just starting to think, and I'm starting to get concerned a little bit. There's a group of folks that show up at most of our public meetings for the last couple of years. There's one thing that seems to originally unite them, which was their extreme dislike for the fact that 4 buildings in town came down and 1 island went up. Their goal seems to be making sure that nothing like that happens again, and I appreciate their passion and commitment, and they certainly have every right to show up to every meeting and to be heard at every meeting if they want to speak. They do a really good job of spreading themselves out to make sure that most of those meetings are attended, council, planning commission, board of adjustment, design review board, and make sure they always have something to say, that they're pretty clear on their stated objectives. However, I know a lot of people that are on these boards, and they would say that, I think the majority of them would say that this is not the most pleasant experience every month. And so these are just volunteers that were nominated because of a certain skill set. They're willing to serve and put their time in to benefit the city. But I feel like, their judgment and their integrity is regularly questioned. Similar complaints come up month after month, and that meetings last a lot longer than they used to while their families wait for them at home. And so, but again, I am reiterating that people have the right to go to meetings and speak and make their opinions known, so I'm not saying so. But I would just love, I just feel like there's a lot of effort that's going into these goals and objectives. And so I just wish that some of the effort could be directed to positivity and promoting the town and promoting and blessing our small businesses and spreading positivity on social media and taking what we have and helping it thrive and being grateful for some of the awesome things that are happening in town. So there's just been this nagging rumor that I'm sure everybody always hears, which is like Fort Thomas people don't support Fort Thomas businesses. And after renting to a bunch of small businesses, I would tweet that to say Fort Thomas businesses don't support crappy businesses. So if you're going to open here, do it with excellence. And that's what I've been telling folks when they're thinking about coming to town. But lately I've heard whispers of a kind of a little bit more of a depressing message, which is not only do Fort Thomas people not support Fort Thomas businesses, but it feels like there's some people that are actively working to hurt them. I don't mostly this is just through social media messages and campaigns. I have no idea who these folks are. I just hear it. There's this feeling like there's a force that's working against them. And so this really breaks my heart because I see these small businesses working so hard. They're not in it just for the money. Like I know somebody said at a council meeting last spring, I'm sure they could all make more if they went out and found jobs in corporate America. They saw something special about this town. They invested here, and I hope that we want them to be successful and to thrive and to be blessed. One of the reasons this was hard for me tonight is that I have daydreamed for months about just wanting to come up and express my concerns or anger maybe about the way I was treated earlier this year and in the past. And so, if we go back to the family thing that I talked about originally, I guess I feel like it would have been nice to feel like, people had my back, but that's really just my pride talking. It's pride. I just, and if I focused only on that and came in and just, and I did that, then I think that I'd become part of the same problem that I'm talking about. And so I don't want anybody in particular to take offense at what I'm saying. I don't want anybody to think I'm singling anybody out. I just love this town and I think that a small, vibrant little business community is so critical to creating this walkable thing that everybody wants. And I just would really love it if we could just work together on what's here in town already to make it better. Everybody knows that that all boats rise together, and I would just love to stop the negative talk about One Highland and help it succeed since it's already here. Can we celebrate it when a condo sells? Instead of trying to sabotage sales with negative efforts, can we agree to disagree about whether further progress is good or bad? And can we get together outside of some of these meetings and just try to figure out how we can find some common ground? You know, when there's citizens that serve on these boards or operate their businesses in town or both, can we as citizens, as members of boards and as council members be unified in making sure that we have their backs and we'll protect them and make it clear that we appreciate them? And I would just love to figure out a way where the negativity would decline. So I appreciate everybody up here. I appreciate everybody's passion in the audience and the time that you guys spend, you know, trying to make sure that you're heard and that, you know, the things that you want to happen. And I just feel like the negativity is growing and it's becoming a little bit of a cancer. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, and I appreciate it very much.
May I use my name?
We are,
May I use my remaining time since I didn't get to use my 5 minutes and you went 8?
You used 4 minutes and something, Jen. Can
My
we
whole
move
thing
on
is-
with the meeting? It's been.
I was still on page 1 and I had 3 pages and I read it 12 times at home and it barely touched 4 minutes.
Okay.
If we're talking about family, this is why we are all here. We are from this city. We are a family of this city. We, as you mentioned, do our best to protect the family. The family of citizens want certain things, hope for something, certain things, moved here for certain things. We encourage people to move here. We brag about our city all the time. We support the local businesses, and anyone who says we don't, they don't know who many of us are. And we are not talking negative. We are not the reason why the condos are not selling. I don't know what the reasons are. There's plenty of people who could buy them, hands down, in a minute, and they're not selling. Maybe the vision was incorrect, beats me. But the fact is, it's not. We've been told not to show up at these meetings. I particularly have been told, do not speak at the meeting. No one hears a word you say. We don't pay attention to you, just quit coming. Now you're saying, let's all be nice and get along. That's not a good way to approach people who attend the meetings in good faith. We put our time in, just as anybody else. Volunteers understand. Everyone goes to their meeting. We go to all the meetings. So whatever time is spent, we're doing it probably 5-fold. Willingly, it's not a complaint. But we are supporting the families that we are, the families that we know.
Thank you, Jen.
We're not the enemy.
all right. I appreciate everybody, excuse me. I'm no longer going to,
Are we still on visitors communication?
no, we're not.
Could I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Are there any small business owners in the crowd tonight? Would you like to come up to the microphone and state your name and state the name of your business, and for all the people that are home watching, they'll put a plug in? We'll start a new tradition. Whoever attends our meeting is a free plug on the cable.
Thank you. Spot there. So my name is Dave Mulcahy. My wife is Lacey Mulcahy, and my dad is also Dave Mulcahy. If you've ever been into my business, it's the Hidden Chapter Bookstore, and I've probably told you that my dad's Big Dave, I'm Medium Dave. I used to be Little Dave before that was Baby Dave. I've maxed out my potential, but I'm okay. So this is my first time being at one of these meetings, and I'm kind of just getting a feel for everything. I didn't quite know that, you know, some of the issues that were arising. What I can tell you is that you know, most of you in here, if I've met you, you're new in my life, and not one of you have been negative toward me. So whether you're somebody who supports the new building at where Fort Thomas Coffee resides, or you're not happy with it, I see the greatness in all of you. And also at the city council, I know you're probably all dying to go home, and I see how wonderful all of you are too. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm glad I'm here, part of everybody, whether you have a complaint or you feel blessed or both. So even if you're not in books, come into the Hidden Chapter bookstore. We're not just selling books. We're here to be, part of the community. And I tell everybody that I think our success hinges on our perspective, and we don't see anybody as customers. We see you all as guests, because we want to be your neighbor, not a business. And that's it.
Tell us where you are.
We are 118 North Fort Thomas Avenue, right next to Hello Honey, and just a hop, skip, and a step from where we are right now.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome. Have to follow that up. Thank you. I'm Lindsay. I own the Post. So if you haven't been, come on by.
Tomorrow night. Come tomorrow night.
Yes, the mayor will be there doing Star Trek. I'm curious to see all the Star Trek people we have in Fort Thomas. So, and also we're bringing the Gruff in, and they launch tomorrow, which is super exciting. So they're another great Fort Thomas family, and we are all about community as well. This is this lady behind me and this gentleman and all the other small businesses. So we appreciate all those that support local, and really happy to be embraced by this town and hope to be here for a really long time.
Hey, don't forget, J-Mac is playing Wednesday night there.
Oh, yes.
The night before Thanksgiving. So. Well, he knows. He knows already. So the night before Thanksgiving.
Justin, Christine Smalley, I'm the spokesperson in the family. We're Fort Thomas Coffee is how we're most known, but we've been trying to figure out who are we now that we expanded. We're not just a coffee shop, not just a cocktail bar, not just a business connect co-working space. We've really come to realize it's the place to be for connection. People are coming with intention and with purpose, and we provide something that supports that, whether it's coffee or cocktails or a business space to do that. So, yeah, that's what we're excited to see what we have become. And to plug anything, I would plug our business conference rooms, those spaces for your holiday parties, events, but people are loving them for their quarterly leadership planning and business meetings. They love that they aren't paying for parking. They say this is super inexpensive and we have all the business supplies and connections we need to do it well. So we're really excited about that Connect Center and trying to get the word out about that.
I would like to follow up with how wonderful it's been to use your space for all of us, the council, the city, and the public to meet with Alyssa about the planning and zoning. I personally agree. I thought it was a great spot. I think sometimes when people come to the city building, it can be a little intimidating. I thought it was a great neutral spot. You hosted it extremely well. The coffee, the conversations, the way you greeted people coming in, it was really a nice touch for us to be able to meet there after the planning and zoning meetings with her. I think you did an excellent job with that. I thought it was a safe space. It was very nice. It was great.
Yeah, I'd like to just chime in real quick with I may Mayor Haas too. I mean, appreciate the business owners saying a few words, and appreciate everybody's contribution tonight. That's why we have a great city, is because people are so willing to invest their time and in some cases their money, and it's just a wonderful thing. So I agree with a lot of what's been said about positivity in town, and maybe it's because it's around the holidays, but that's why I got on council and why we all did, I think, is because we have such a great community already, right? And we're just trying our best to do what we can to improve upon that. I'd like to, as far as the businesses go, and not just because it's the holiday season, and it's been brought up already, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but we hear from business owners in town. We heard from some last week, and my comments are not directed solely at any specific businesses, but everybody who owns a business in town or who is willing to donate their time and certainly a lot of their money and their blood, sweat, and tears, and that includes Dan as well. Whether you agree with everything they say and do in the community or not, I'm sure nobody agrees with everything I say or everything that I do, and that's the beauty of the positions that we're in as not just an elected official, but as an active, participating member of the community. You can't tell me that we don't need more people in this town like Dan and like Christine and Justin and like the Kials and the new business in town, and we should embrace that and celebrate that. And I'll just speak for myself. I can certainly do a better job of doing that, but I'm going to make a diligent effort to try and spend more of our dollars here in town, and especially, you know, we want these people. We need them in our community. They're around our children. They're our personal friends. And they're not going to be here long term if we don't support them. Business is tough as it is, and we all know that business in Fort Thomas is tough. I work in a Fort Thomas business, but we are one heck of a strong community, and we all know that. So again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but when you can, I think that our business owners sometimes feel like we've heard this. It's, you know, as hard as it is anyway, it'd be nice to have some more positivity in their lives. Maybe a thank you for putting so much on the line to open a business in our town, or maybe a, hey, I really enjoyed my coffee. And we don't need any thank yous as council members, I don't think, as elected people, because if you don't like what we do, you don't have to vote for us. But I'll tell you what, it is nice to hear those words every now and then. And I'm optimistic maybe to a fault in some sense, but I'm just so proud of where we are and the people who are involved in it. And so when we go through challenging times or we have difficult conversations, whether it's about zoning, which has been particularly, it's certainly been difficult. It's been a great learning experience too. There's a lot of examples like that. But when we go through things, I just like us all to remember, we're going through these together, and that's the only way forward. And that's all I want to say about it.
Anyone else? Great, Ben, I appreciate that. And yes, thank you all for everything that you do for the city. And I know everybody's passionate about this city, and that's why we're so blessed here, because we have so many people who care so much about this town. And yeah, we might have a little difference of opinion on what we like and what somebody else doesn't like, but we can work on it together and we can make this place even better. So I've always been impressed with the volunteerism in the city and how many people get involved, and it's absolutely wonderful. And I like the idea of positivity. And so yeah, let's keep up the great work. Now, we're gonna go on with the rest of our meeting. So if you guys get really bored, you're welcome to leave, or you can hang around and see what else is on the agenda. So the next item on the agenda is reports of officers, fire department monthly report.
Thank you, Mayor. Hopefully my report's not boring. Quick question, and I'll speak loud. I know they can't hear you.
With 2 weeks ago, we did change our clocks. So I'm gonna do my semi-annual reminder for everybody. When you change your clocks, change your batteries, your smoke detectors, make sure that they're working, test them once a month. And that's really all I have for monthly report.
Sounds good. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Do smoke detectors expire?
Yes and no. Yes and no. So some of them do have expiration dates that you can purchase through the hardware stores. I couldn't tell you which brands. The best thing to do is take a look on the back of them, and they might have it on there. As long as you test them and they sound, they're going to be pretty good.
That was a good question. All right, I'll entertain a motion. Receive and file? Sure. Okay, good. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, down to police department report. Chief?
Thanks, Mayor. I just had a couple of things real quick. I forgot to announce in October that we added our second school resource officer, Chris Goshorn. He joined our department, rejoined our department the first week of October. So he's been in our school system for about 5 weeks now. Excellent fit. We're lucky to have him. He's already learned quite a bit from Officer Zach Rolfer and stayed quite busy. So we're really lucky to have 2 SROs working right now. So thank you for making that happen. Second, we had our Citizens Police Academy conclude last week. We had about 16 or 17 students all together. It was a great experience. I think everyone learned a lot from our folks, and our police officers learned a lot while they were teaching as well. So overall, big success. Hope to do it again next year. But thank you for supporting us in that effort as well. And that's all I have.
Excellent. Yep. Can I make a comment on this? Is this safe to talk into, or should I? So I've received some feedback about the Citizens Police Academy and the skill level of our officers. They just all said it's off the charts. So I had the pleasure of attending the lunch on Saturday, and I know Elizabeth was there too. You participated in the class, didn't you?
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, that's a big compliment. If anybody knows, that's
So everybody there was, it was incredible, the feedback that I received from everybody I talked to, and how impressed everybody was with the skill level that our officers have and the amount of training that they go through. I think it's pretty impressive what Casey, what the chief has done, what the staff has done with the police, and there's a reason why we're the safest city in Fort Thomas, and it was proven through that class. So nice job, Casey.
I want to follow up too. Jeff has said this a lot. Ben has said this a lot. We all three were on the public safety committee for the last couple of years. Lauren, I have to admit, I'm glad you're on it. I'm a little jealous. I think everybody should be on that committee. And if you understood what we saw and why Jeff is saying this, and Jeff and Ben have said this many, many times, if you heard what we went through in the interviews and the promotion process and hiring people on and what Casey has done, you would have no doubt we have the best. It's extremely impressive, and I wish everybody could sit through the academy or what we got to sit through for the last couple of years with Lauren. I mean, you're very lucky. It's great to hear and see it really just reaffirms what we kind of thought you knew, but then you get to know.
I just want to add one more thing. So we have a culture of training here. We have a culture of trying to get the best people, give them the best training, and then hold on to them as long as we can. And that comes from the support of council and the mayor and Matt and everyone else involved. But I don't want to leave the firemen out. They work really hard too. We train together. Those guys are in the gym every day. They train every day. They have a lot of good resources. Our fire department is off the charts too. So I don't want to leave Chris out there.
What does he want? Does he want something that you need to give him an okay on or something? There's something going on here. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
And make one hell of a chili pot.
Someone like to make a motion to receive and file his report?
Move to receive and file.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. City Administrator's report. Mr. Kramer.
Thank you, Mayor. I will say that Chief helped me this week, along with a fire alarm thing. If your batteries are out on one fire alarm, it will tell the whole house that there's a fire. So I early called to him to not have his guys come out to my house to narrow that down. So just remember that. Change those batteries out regularly, which I did after scaring the family. So short update today for Public Works. We're almost complete developing our 24th Street program with our latest street analysis, which has been extremely beneficial. We'll be briefing the Public Works chair here shortly in the next few weeks, and then be able to present that in a couple months just to get that moving for next year. We're really excited about that. With all of the new data we've collected has made it much easier. Tower Park Playground tear out started today. If everybody noticed that they've got the fence around, and we're already getting people asking if they can have some of the old stuff. So that's no longer owned by us, and I've told them if they want to make deals with Crust Construction, that's between them. But hopefully they're going to start that, and it'll be a good process moving forward. Legislation, we have the DRB amendment, and then the final reading also for the Rumpke contract. Additionally, we have the council committee changes that are there for first reading. Those are the ones that we discussed, changing the committee structure from 3 to 4. And then tree commission ordinance amendment. That was an amendment to change the tree commission from a 7-person member or a 7-member board into a 5-member board. We've removed, to be consistent with the rest of them, the planning commission replacement if not filled within 40 days. And there was also a really large, and I've already sent this out to council, but there was a very large section that was worded poorly and really put liability on the city for trees. So we reworded that to where as long as the tree commission is aware of the trees that, they have to go through the process to make sure that we take care of them safely. So those are the updates on that. And pending any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions for Matt? All right, thank you very much. We are down to old business, which there is none. New business, none.
I'd like to take that opportunity to finish up what I was saying about statistics earlier. And I want to get everybody's opinion on this and whether we feel like we should move forward or do something about it. I wish the businesses were still here because I think it's very prudent to them. Lately been thinking, a couple of businesses came in and, a lot of people have concerns about what's going on here. And sometimes I think when I see this meeting here, we have I have a couple things to say. We have 2 ABC hearings for 2 different licenses for on-premise. For those who don't know what on-premise is when you drink there, off-premise is when you take it with you like a liquor store. We do have 17,000 people in our town. We don't really have a thoroughfare like Cold Springs does, or Marymount, or Hyde Park even. So, people rely a lot on our local citizens for their support. And I want to give them the best opportunity to succeed in this world. I think it's not only our responsibility to give the new businesses an opportunity to succeed, we also have to protect the ones that have already been here and invested, plus the landlords who are leasing to those places so they make sure that their businesses are going to stay. And I found that when I started my business that the best thing I could do was statistics, numbers, traffic studies, demographics, how many people live within 1/10 of a mile, half a mile, 2 miles away, what the traffic count is on the corners. And I really think it would behoove us and the businesses that are here and that are coming, because I think if I look at these 2 right here, the Hidden Chapter and the Green Line Restaurant, how many on-premise places do we have here in town? Joe, 11, 12, 13?
16.
16. 17,000 people, 6,000 kids. You know what I mean? How many people don't drink? How many people are out of town that still have their license here? And, I think we have created an unbelievable environment with some disposable income of some of our residents. But how often can we expect them to go out every night and drink at these places and spend money? It's just not possible. It's not feasible. And I think they're doing a nice job of bringing people in town. And I think with what we're doing, I think part of our responsibility is redoing the Tower Park with AstroTurf. It's going to give us 9 months out of the year, 10 months instead of 12 months. That's going to draw a lot more people in. The sports complex that's going in that we're helping with is going to draw a lot more people in. That's why I wanted, and I pushed for this pickleball to be in the middle of town in Highland Park. Can you imagine what that does to the Central Business District? Or Padrinos and the gas station on the corner, because they'll come up Grand, cut in there, and that's an unbelievable following in the practice field in there. That's why I'm not very adamant about a lot of things like that on Carlisle Park, other than the fact that it's just fill and it's, I don't know how sustainable it is, but that's on the edge of town. So our job is also bring people into the center of town, and as a factor of that, make sure that they have an opportunity to spend money here too. And the demographic on pickleball is probably exactly what Padrinos and Coffee and Kamal's and all those places want. So I was wanting to get your feel on perhaps maybe doing a statistical study. I would focus on Inverness, Central Business District, and Midway District at first, and see what the demographics are and the statistical numbers within 1/10, 2/10, 5/10 of a mile, traffic studies. I think it's important to for people coming into town that we can have on a piece of paper and say, look, there's 3 dog grooming places already in town. We have 16 on-premise drinking places. We have 2 veterinarian places. I mean, I know this gentleman sounds fantastic with the bookstore. We have Blue Marble, who's been here 50 years. So we have a responsibility to them too, to protect them. And I think that perhaps one of the ways we can protect some of these on-premise places is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but I'm pretty sure, Joe, you can help me out with this. We'll get you to speak a little bit. Maybe. Is that, I don't know if you know how liquor licenses work, but they're actually, some places are dry, some places are moist, they only serve beer, there's full liquor licenses. But they control them usually via population. And some cities take it to more of the extreme than others. And I believe it's within our purview to tighten ordinances and state statutes instead of lessening them. So maybe it's something that we consider on light and making sure that we protect the people who have spent all this money investing in town already and these ones that are coming. I think that it's important for them to know that we care, and I don't think we need to oversaturate the market with anybody. Now, if somebody wants to come here and go for it, that's fine, but this really looks out for the landlords. There's our economic development manager hands it to them. We're not blowing any smoke. We're very honest and upfront. We're not telling them we love them, we support them. This is the facts. That's how I went and made my business. You know what I mean? I did the same thing, did statistical numbers, and I would turn in my change bank every other day, $300 to pay my bills. I didn't make any money for 8 years, you know what I mean? I worked 80 hours a week. I think everybody knows what that takes, you know? So 2 things I was interested in, just get your opinion on. A couple things is, what do you guys take, what's your take on that of looking at the CT or somebody doing a statistical analysis so when people come to town, they know what we have and what we have to offer? You know, even the through traffic on Grand Avenue, how many people go down 471 even, and how easy it is to get to this stuff. I mean, I would love your opinion on that. I think it's a fantastic number. And see, statistics, business is 70-80% numbers, 20% passion, period. You know what I mean? They have to work out for you. You can't just love it. You know, a small story. When I first started my first liquor store, they wanted $140,000 for it. I offered them 21 when I saw the numbers. I wanted it so bad. I wanted out of the restaurant business like you wouldn't believe. They came back and laughed at me and said $100,000. Well, a year later, they came back at me and said, "Hey, we'll give you we'll take $30,000 for it." I hadn't been back in a year, so I said they wanted me to rush in there, go in there and look, and then I went there that weekend and I said, "Oh my God, I can't take this. This is even worse than it was before." The guy was drinking and smoking there. He wasn't really selling. But I was on a product. I had to walk out there and I wanted out of the restaurant business so bad. I had the cash. I was ready to go. And then I went back to the landlord and apologized for wasting his time. And he said to me, "They're moving out the next week. Here's the keys." But even I stepped back because the money I was investing wasn't there for the opportunity that led to the future. And it was so hard, and I had to leave my heart to the side and go with numbers because they rule the world. So I just think it's something that maybe we should discuss and discuss further, at least take it to a committee. And what are your thoughts, Matt? I'd like to know your thoughts on this too as well.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to talk about this.
Yeah.
If you're talking about that 14-page one you sent me today, I mean, I think
no, that wasn't. That's the survey.
That's the survey.
That's the survey I
looking at?
sent you. That was already here, which I would like. The planning commission is going to talk about that next month. I think this is just part of the puzzle. I think we need something that's a little bit. I have one that was done around last year. I can send it to everybody.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is just let's sit down and talk about that, and then just try to get some prices to see what it means. Because
I mean, they can be expensive depending on how detailed they are, but I mean, as far as giving everybody opportunities, I think it's.
I think the data collection, from what I haven't seen what you have. I mean, I don't. There's nothing wrong with having that to be able to have a chance to be able to provide to people that are interested in coming here. I think is a great.
What do you guys
can't hurt. It all depends on cost, of course.
Statistics are never a bad thing, so that's not, I think that's all really good. The thing that concerns me, I think you just have to be careful about what we think the city's role in all this is, because, you know, I can tell you that I don't think our role is to hand any prospective business owner a piece of paper and say, well, we have these numbers that indicate that your business may do well or may not do well, or, you know, we have X number of your kind of business in town, so maybe it's not advantageous for you to consider Fort Thomas. I can tell you right now, and you use the term that the city should protect our businesses. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that I'm a big small government guy, so trust me, as a business person, I want government. I do not want them involved in the business as much as possible, truly. And I can tell you that any business in town that has had longevity and sustained success, i.e. the Blue Marble that you brought up, has zero to do with anything the city's done. It's them. And it's because they run a fantastic business model. And so this is just my view. Statistics are always good. I would just caution that we are careful about the level of involvement we actually want the city to have with either current businesses in that regard or prospective business owners. You said it too when you were talking about it. This isn't to preclude anybody from coming in. Ultimately, that's their decision. But I think, a business that has a great model and is a quote-unquote fantastic business has a much better chance of succeeding than any business that the city is going to, suggest would be successful or suggest wouldn't be successful.
Well, it's a resource that that prospective businesses might find valuable. I think it might be worth doing because it could be something that we can provide them, but it has to come with no opinion behind it.
Right.
Yeah, no,
I agree with all of you. The things you're talking about are absolutely essential. Then the question becomes, who provides that information? Because I can tell you, a large developer, they're gonna do it on their own. They're not gonna trust whatever numbers they give us. But there's certainly things that we can provide through Chanda. We can provide information to prospective business owners of what we have here now, but just put that information out there. But as far as spending a lot of money and doing a real thorough thing, I'm concerned that most of the larger business developers are not going to accept that. They'll do their own anyway. And some of the smaller ones may not care. So yes, I think it's worth discussing.
I agree with all aspects of it. You know, Ben, you made some good points, but where do we draw the line on how involved we get with our businesses then? You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you say you don't want to do this because you don't want to give these business numbers, you don't want to get involved with them, but we advertise for certain ones on our Facebook pages, we meet with certain ones, so where do we draw the line? Should we draw the line with, this is me talking, I love it all, I wish sometimes I think the personal connection goes too far, sometimes I think it's fantastic, right, because you don't want to lose that in a small community, but numbers don't lie, right, and we can't sway from numbers, right? And it's a very simple formula that, you know, I worry about us getting too personally involved with a lot of stuff too, because then our personal feelings come out and might not be in the best interest of everybody involved.
Numbers are gonna change though, so if you do that study now.
No, I think you should do it, it's every comprehensive plan. I think once you get a good base for it, and I'd like to see what the numbers are for it, but I think every 5 years, when we readapt the comprehensive plan, we should be doing a survey, then statistics, and then we have a really ironclad idea of what the city can go for. And Chanda actually, as an economic development manager, I would assume she's going out and reaching out to the community to see what can fill these holes that would be the most successful. So it's an unbelievable tool for her to go and say, do we need a butcher shop? Do we need another bookstore? Maybe this side of town could use this because it's so successful over here. I mean, it is a fantastic tool, but we got to figure out where we draw the line on how much support and what we do, and then where we go on. I mean, and this is going to be a kind of a blight here on everybody, but the Green Line restaurant here, we actually invested $850,000 forgivable loan in this, right? So the city took city tax dollars, invested in the Green Line. You actually, which I didn't vote for, so you actually used tax dollars that are paid for by the direct competition. So you actually use money from some of these businesses to fund a business in town that is going to draw business away from them. So where's that line crossed? You know, so you just give them direct numbers, not funding.
Without going into all the details about that, I'll
just
two things I want to say. I mean, the overarching question I think you asked initially was, where do you draw the line? My comprehensive kind of theory is that, you know, our role is to promote and foster an environment where businesses can succeed. How do you do that? You do that by having excellent emergency services, police and fire, excellent schools, clean streets, amenities for the public to use, which we are tackling all of those right now.
Absolutely.
The deeper parts of that conversation, maybe probably save for a later time, and I'd like to bring Chanda into those conversations too. I don't keep my finger on the pulse of everything she does, and in fact, if I tried to, I wouldn't be able to.
Well, I don't want to. That's why we have her, so that she can bring that information.
No. And
I think she's doing a great job connecting with our businesses, and especially our events in town.
Yeah, and in regards to the Green Line, I would just say, I know you didn't vote for it, Adam, and you have strong opinions on it. I'm sure people in the room have strong opinions on it. Again, back to kind of my positive mentality, I did vote for the city's support in that, and I am very, very proud of that vote. I think that given the options that were available, this is an excellent partnership with some business leaders and some residents in town. And frankly, the narrative, I think this is kind of one of the things that we talked about last week. It's the narrative needs to be more positive. This place hasn't even opened their doors yet, and we don't need to be disparaging them. I mean, I can't wait. The best thing we can do as a community is to support that business, not because it's going to make anybody rich at all. In fact, quite the opposite. If we support them, they'll stick around, and it's just it's a gem to have on our town that we can be proud of.
But how many of those places can we support is my main point on this one.
I think the market works itself out. I really do. I think good businesses stay, poor businesses are,
I agree with that 100%, so we have to give them the best opportunity to be all good businesses. And we don't if we saturate the market with the same type of business. How would you like it if we gave a forgivable loan and put an insurance company right next to yours, or a pool place right next to yours? I mean, that would not be wise, right? I would not like that. And that's what we've done. So in order to keep from doing that, to make sure that we understand what we need and where our money is best vested for us to grow, numbers don't lie. Sorry. And what about lowering the amount of ABC licenses? How do you feel about that?
Taking them away?
Not taking them away, but just limit them. So everybody that has one is grandfathered in.
That's a state.
No, it's not. It's a little bit. Joe? I was not sure about that. I'm pretty sure because you can tighten ordinances, you can't take them away. And some cities, they voted to go moist, and then they base it on their population. And maybe it's something that comes out in statistics. You can go by this, the state has, ABC probably has, hey, what's viable in a certain area?
Well, labor license committee, this is a good topic, but we shouldn't be spending a lot of time here at the council meeting, but we could take it up at a meeting.
Would everybody be okay, at least?
We have to do some research and be able to bring some information to us for us to make legitimate decisions on it. So at some point in the future, we can pull that information together.
Yeah, we'll do research on that and then.
I appreciate everybody listening. I know it was a lot, but I really just want these guys to succeed so bad, man. I mean, over the years, I've done the pub crawls, I've donated my own time and money. We all have donated a lot of time and energy to go to these places, man. And it breaks my heart to think any of them are not succeeding because they don't feel like the city supports them. I believe everybody's here. We're generational. In these communities, we come back because we love it, you know what I mean? But it's hard to support everybody, man. It's just almost not feasible. So I hate it. So I hate to even feel like that when they say, the mantra of Fort Thomas doesn't support local businesses. We just can't support that many. It's just not possible. You need outside traffic. And I think one part of the thing we did to do that, and I said it was like all those new parks and systems, but also the rebranding. And a lot of people say it's rebranding was about the logo, but it wasn't about the logo. It was about forming a unified message to send out. The Business Association, DORA, we do a lot. So I hope that it resonates for a long time.
I don't know if you can just get me information on those statistics.
Yeah, I'll just send you what I have, and then I would say Frank is probably your best avenue for the different types of scale that they have.
Thank you.
Okay.
Joe, does the post have a full license or a partial license?
They have a full one. They serve alcohol and beer.
They didn't used to though, right?
Yeah.
That's new?
Do they sell to-go stuff too?
Yeah.
The post does?
Yeah, they just started selling liquor a few months ago.
Cause that's a great place and people love it.
Oh, it's fantastic. They do a great job. They do trivia night. They do great events there, man. They really do.
Okay. Ready to move on? Finance Committee report and disbursements.
Report of disbursements, October 16th through November 17th, 2023. General fund, $434,006.27. Public Works KDOT fund, $359,560.44. CBD revitalization, $40,795.41. Waste fees, $102,583.28. Total, $936,945.40. We, the undersigned members of the Finance Committee, recommend that warrants number 24491 through 24637 be approved and the treasurer be authorized to issue checks for their payment. Mr. Chairperson, or Mr. Pendry, Chairperson, Mr. Beazle, member, Mr. Strange, member.
Entertain a motion. Is there a second? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Pendry? Mr. Ellison? Mr. Beazle? Mr. Blau? Mr. Strange?
All right. Ordinance resolutions and orders. Ordinance 07, Design Review Board Ordinance Amendment. Well, Tim told you have to read it.
This is my time for fame, right?
Okay.
I'll try to sub as best I can. All right, ordinance O-07-2023. An ordinance amending chapter 36, sections 36.010 through 36.015 of the Fort Thomas Code of Ordinances pertaining to the Design Review Board.
All right, that's first reading. Okay.
Design Review Board?
No, it's not the second reading. I'm sorry. So, and a motion. Who would like to move?
Motion to approve?
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Does this need roll call? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Pendry? Mr. Ellison? Mr. Beazle?
Aye.
Mr. Blau?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
Aye.
Okay, now we're to ordinance 016-2023.
An ordinance establishing and fixing the amount of service charges for the collection and removal of solid waste and curbside residential recycling for the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, from December 1, 2023 through November 30, 2025, and providing for the option of 2 additional 2-year terms with established pricing.
That is also a second reading, correct?
No.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. McIntosh? Mr. Henry?
Aye.
Mr. Ellison?
Aye.
Mr. Weasel?
Aye.
Mr. Lau?
Aye.
Mr. Strange?
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 017, main council committees.
An ordinance of the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky, establishing committees of council and the process for recommendation and approval of committee membership.
This is the first reading, so no action necessary now. Ordinance 018.
I'd like to comment on that real quick, because I just thought of this today, it's a small one. There's 4 people gonna be in that, right, each committee? So how do we break a tie if there's 2 people and decide if it goes to council or not?
Anything can be taken to council.
I know that, I would assume if 2 people want the whole council to hear it, it should go forward, should we write that in there?
No. Okay, a committee makes a report. And they report the information that staff has gathered and their decisions that they talked about. And in that, the report, they would say, 2 people agreed and 2 people didn't agree. It's not a vote.
We always vote in all the committees.
We do vote, but it's not.
It doesn't really matter.
It's not an official vote, it's just, do we all agree that this is what we're gonna present to council? Council makes all the decisions, the committee members don't.
It just seems so odd that we never brought it to council, but it never got past the 3 people if 1 person wanted it and 2 people didn't. And now it's not the majority.
Well,
3
there was
people on the
still,
committee, but all 3 didn't need to vote, so it never came to council for an actual vote. So always the decisions.
but a report from committee was always
A
given.
report came from committee, but if action needed to be taken, if it passed, then whatever ordinance we decided or changes we decided to make would come to the next council meeting for
Correct.
a decision. So
Correct.
this doesn't do that.
No, it follows the same procedure.
No, it would, if 2 people want to do one thing one way, they make the recommendation, and 2 people want to do one thing a different way, both of those need to go to the council.
Okay.
Well, it's just part of the report, yes. And the report, if it was a tie, the report would say, whoever the chair of that committee would say, this is our report from our committee, this is what we discussed, but we didn't come to an agreement. Then the full council has that discussion, and then we decide whether we're gonna pass it or not. So I don't see that, where that's a problem at the committee level.
Well, I don't see it as long as we are all on the same page with it, before it was majority, then it came to for a vote. So, but either way, he's not wrong, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it's a
how
good
was gonna
thing to
work,
bring up.
You know what I mean? So, that we're not arguing if it's gonna go forward or not, you know what I mean? So.
You are right, because we always vote.
Yeah, we always voted and it always came forward whether it was approved and not approved. Oh, there was something that I heard over the weekend, Mayor, I think we need clarification on this, that you do not have great quorum. So I don't know if you knew that or not. So if there's 3 of us, you're not considered quorum, even though you're a voting member.
I was told different.
For 3.
For 3?
Officially, yes.
You do not make quorum.
Yeah.
I think
I'm uber conservative on it. So.
Yeah, I would agree with him. I would agree. So I reached it, because I remember I had that argument during one of the finance meetings that you made quorum. Then I reached out to my counsel, pretty good. And he looked into it, he agreed with me, then he looked into it, and the mayor gets autonomy with that. I think it's smart to act on the air of caution sometimes, but there's actually a state statute which makes sense because of your power. You know what I mean?
So, okay, well, time out here a second. We bring up a good point.
I just don't want you to feel like you can't attend the meeting because you're breaking
The
quorum.
mayor has always attended almost all committee meetings, like all times.
Just like if we were having a meeting with just 3 council, you can be there.
You could be there. And it not have to be.
So I could have been at
minutes.
Friday's meeting.
Yes.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, I know.
And
I don't want you to miss it.
We did talk about that.
Yeah, I
And
know.
I told you I was
We
uber
did
conservative.
talk about it, and he said, let's err on the side of caution, and that's fine. I just want to make sure that when it comes to committee meetings, that the mayor has.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't
Historically,
matter,
always
because
provided
it's a
to
public
the-
meeting anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But if we have 3 council members and it's not quorum and we're having a meeting and you don't have to announce it, you can come to those meetings and it doesn't have to be, if they're not committee meetings.
Correct.
I'm not worried
We're not
about
talking about
it.
committee
I just don't want him to use that excuse like a newborn. My friends always did that. I can't come, my baby's sick.
That's all true.
I know. Yeah, Charlie boy is sick, I can't make it. Red's sick, I'm sorry, guys.
All right, where were we?
So we did first.
Where are we? If any, We already did that one. Okay, the tree commission ordinance amendment, 018.
An ordinance establishing regulations for the preservation and replacement of the tree stock by providing general definitions to be utilized in the enforcement and interpretation of the within ordinance, and by requiring permission to perform certain acts with respect to public trees, and by establishing planning commission functions and technical requirements with respect to new developments in all zoning classifications, and establishing the advisory functions of the tree commission to the planning commission, and providing for regulations on public improvements affecting city trees, and by establishing penalties for a violation of the within ordinance, all within the city of Fort Thomas, Campbell County, Kentucky.
All right, thank you. That's also first reading. Now, the last one is the municipal order for declaring surplus property.
Let me speak to that. I apologize, council. I don't think I clarified this in an email or even during my report. I know we've had 3 in a row, but I'm trying to clean up our area back here, and we have one more vehicle that's just dying, and it's like a fork in it. So we have the Malibu that we're declaring surplus, and then our tar machine, the old tar machine, our new one came in, and that was left off. So I apologize for them coming so quickly, but instead of letting them sit around and just taking up space, those are the 2 things that are on that.
Somebody might want to buy them for Christmas or something.
Yes. 1990 tar machine.
Yes. Yeah.
Just want one of those.
Is that something, do we need to read something or just approve it?
Yeah, you can just read it.
The municipal order, all right, municipal order MO-14-2023, a municipal order declaring miscellaneous city-owned personal property as surplus and authorizing the city administrative officer to dispose of said property pursuant to KRS 882.083.
All right, Al. I need a motion for that. Is there a second? All those, roll call vote.
Aye.
Motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah. 80% of all elected officials.